All right. Welcome back to the D Weekly Show, whatever we're calling this. We still need an official name. I don't know. We gotta get creative, Sonny.
Marc and Sonny.
Marc and Sonny. Welcome to Marc and Sonny, where it's always sunny. There's no good pun with my name right
and
off.
you're never marked.
Okay. All right. Yeah, okay. We need help. So if you're creative out there and you want to help us out, we need it. Please help us select a show. Yeah.
Or a name for the show. Yeah.
100%. So yeah, basically we need some help kind of naming the show and everything like that. But we do have some news. Sonny, you want to drop that?
Yeah. Shout out to Play Shrapnel. We have officially acquired our first sponsor for this show. And so we're going to be working with them in terms of doing some giveaways. Might have a DeGods skin in the game. Definitely going to get in the game and start playing some stuff. And want to get the community involved as well. So definitely very excited to be kind of starting this journey with them and yeah.
And I think we need some sort of challenge too, like something about like whoever has like the higher score of the week, like between the two of us, the other person's got to do something. Maybe we start off. We got to do something like that. So we're gonna brainstorm that. We need a punishment for the loser out of the two of us. So we'll figure that out. If anybody has some ideas, send them over. But we're gonna have some fun with Play Shrapnel, and we're gonna create some great content with them, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. So. But okay, so getting into this week in Web3, we've had some exciting things happening. We had Crypto Undeads. We'll talk about that in a second. We had the Saga 2 drop. And what else do we have going on this week? It's just Memecoin season for sure.
Memecoin season going crazy.
We got Jupuary coming up, which is exciting.
Yep.
I think a lot of people are really excited about that.
And my fucking Klano plushie has been shipped.
There we go.
I'm hyped.
A lot of exciting shit going on right now. We love to see it. So let's get into. So first off, what are your thoughts on Crypto Undeads? We both minted. And that was exciting. It was nerve-wracking for a second there. I didn't realize. I thought we had a little bit more time. So all of a sudden, I go to mint, and it's like 8,000 already minted. I was like, holy shit! Like, okay, and then I'm waiting for my transaction to go through. But man, it feels good to be back in the mint phase where you're waiting for your transaction to go through. That is it brings me back to the OG days of 2021, 2022, where you were just slamming every mint and you were putting up 10 tabs and just hitting 10 transactions and just hoping one went through. Exciting times. So but yeah, so what are your thoughts? I mean, they had it's a very cryptic project right now. I don't really know anything. They put out a tweet. We'll read the tweet. But they put out a tweet that says, and this is they're basically what is going on right now is they said it's the beginning of forever. Crypto Undeads have minted out and are now trading on secondary everywhere. Currently, as we say this, the floor price is around 17 sols, so we'll see where it goes from here. We've brought together thousands of collectors from several chains in a monumental way, all rallying behind the message and meaning of owning a crypto undead. There are some things you should know. 1, provenance matters. From the underworld, we're already observing how you behave as a collector. We'll forever remember those that are day one, who never list or sell their token, for example. 2, reveal is not linear. It won't unfold as you expect. As for the rest, allow us to surprise and delight. Together, we're eternal. Cryptic.
Very cryptic.
I don't know.
They got the hype.
It's cool to see, a project with serious volume going in and people are having fun with it. And, I'm just hoping that reveal comes. It's truly done in a unique and creative way. Because, again, I do feel like there's been times that's been said before, and then it's kind of like the reveal happens. You're like, all right, that was kind of lackluster.
Definitely.
So, and I feel like that is normally the case. It normally is kind of a lackluster experience. And I would like to see somebody truly do something really cool that makes us want to go and talk about it on the timeline, So that's always kind of the thing that, with any project, it's like you want to create something that makes somebody just want to go and chat about it. I'm hoping that the next time we run an episode, we want to talk about this again, because they did something really cool that everybody was a big fan of, and we can talk about that. But I will say, I mean, does it make you nervous to mint a project that doesn't have art revealed?
It doesn't make me nervous. I definitely I would love to I love seeing what the art looks like, and I love getting those previews beforehand and everything, right? But I think there's a certain fun that comes with the experience that they've put on up until this point, right? It's been cryptic. It's been, hyped on the timeline. People are talking about it, whether it be good or whether it be bad. But everybody has seen those fucking brackets and that blue that they've put out. And it's been circling, right? And I think based off of that excitement and attention, I think it makes it easier to kind of rally around, right? And so even them not putting out any art previews, you're definitely just kind of excited for, well, what could this be, right? They've shared some cool messaging, their site, obviously the cryptic part of it, everything like that, and going into it with mad speculation. That's a lot of early NFT days for us, right? Like, is that mad speculation piece and just like, what is this actually about to be? And, like they said, let us surprise and delight you. And it's like, that's the experience that a lot of us have signed up for now, right? And so it's whether or not you want to kind of see that through. I'm sure you had a bunch of people that minted and have sold their tombstone at this point or whatever the case is for that flip. And I think it's good, right? You need to have those flippers, traders, get that volume up, and have people also buying at these higher prices, 17, 18 sold, whatever, to continue to kind of just like build up what this project could be and the value of the project itself. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm definitely rooting for them in a way that I think because of the hype that they've received, they also got a lot of backlash of like, oh, we've seen this before. We've seen projects do this and they get hyped and then they crash and all this sort of thing. And yeah, I'm just rooting for them to hopefully they're the ones that kind of push through and break through and kill that narrative of like, yeah, you can actually have a really, really hyped mint and then go on and be successful like immediately after if you are giving a really good experience to your holders.
Yeah, I mean, I think I root for it because like the NFT space relatively over the last few months has been kind of boring, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, it's nice to see a hyped mint, right? And we are seeing some like positivity around NFTs. Like Pudgy Penguins are pumping like crazy right now. And we love to see that. We love our friends over at Pudgy, but but it's like when there is something like a hype mint and the promise of kind of some unique ways of revealing things, some unique ways of rewarding people and everything like that. And obviously we saw that with Dot last week with King Fud, right? Yep. And so it's like, yeah, I like the idea of trying new things. And I think, a lot of times in the NFT space, I think we get bored. We've seen a lot of things, right? So it's hard to really impress a lot of us at this point because it's like, oh yeah, that one project did that before. Oh, that project has already tried that, So anytime anybody's like, hey, we're actually going to do something super, super unique, I'm rooting for it to be truly, truly unique. That's always my biggest thing, And so I'm really hoping that this time next week we're talking about Crypto Undeads and we're talking about what they did and how cool it was and the reception to it, and and I'm rooting for them. And I think a lot of people sometimes we get caught in this like kind of negative feedback mechanism where we're like, you know what, they're just going to be another project that goes to zero, and it's like, yes, if we're looking at pure statistics, project has a higher odds of going to zero than it does of going to 100, right?
For sure.
We know that. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that I'm ever going to be... I don't want the zero to happen, obviously. It's a negative thing for all of NFTs when stuff like that happens. So I'm rooting for them to create some really cool things. I'm rooting for the art to be super awesome. I'm excited to see what it looks like. And I want that reveal process to be super unique and everything like that. And I want them to be able to keep maintaining the excitement. Because, again, it's not incredibly difficult to get hype before a mint because there's also a lot of people who are just trying to get whitelist or allow list or pre-sales or whatever, and so they're talking about it, trying to get that excitement going, everything like that. And then once somebody actually holds the whitelist or allow list or whatever, they're also pumping the excitement because they want that project to do well. So it's like, okay, now you have your holders, right? There are a lot of people who are on the sidelines. There are a lot of people who are holding. So how do you maintain that excitement? And I'm looking forward to seeing what they try to do to maintain that excitement. So,
yeah. I mean, I definitely think that the hype that they got, though, is a different level than just like hype that obviously normal projects can get. But I think like a secondary point to all this, whether it's Crypto Undeads, whether it's another project or whatever, I think just being cognizant of, I think it's important to take all of the teachings and the learnings that you kind of experience in this space as it pertains to obviously like rug projects, or it's like you saw the red flags before, like, you know, they minted or whatever for past projects, or, you know, we're learning from hyped projects that have come out and then crashed after, and all these things, right? But even from learning from that, I think it's just important to just not get in a place where you're so jaded in this space that you forget to like have fun with mints, have fun being a part of some of these communities, have fun rallying around something, and just being supportive of somebody, some team, some project in this space doing something that does push us forward in any sort of way, whether that's, you know, onboarding more people, whether that's, you know, getting IP out there, whether that's collabing with various people, whatever it is, right? I think it's just important that we just not get so jaded that we just start shitting on everything and not keeping that open-mindedness of just like having fun with it and being positive. And, you know, it's not about like wag me, but very much just around like we want things to succeed, because if things succeed, it's just a chain reaction of multiple things succeeding in this space.
Yeah, 100%. And I think people sometimes need that reminder. Again, it's like, especially because, you know, we talked about meme coin season for a brief second, but like, you know, meme coins giveth and meme coins taketh, right? And so it's like there's certain times that you get early into a meme coin and you're like, okay, this is exciting. They're starting to, you know, there's this hype going, yada, yada, yada. And then the coin dies. And you're like, well, holy shit, I just lost, you know, $1,000 on that or whatever, right? What I do think is exciting about this meme coin season is I think we're seeing a lot of people coming from ETH over into Solana to trade meme coins. Just as we saw a lot of people go from Solana into ETH in the like mid part of 2023. So, you know, of people trying out meme coins over there. So it's cool to me to see different communities supporting meme coins and having fun with it. The content that's come out of it, I got to give a shout out to Soul Jakey and Media Drafts, Fast Eddie. Like, Eddie has come up with some of the craziest content. He was in the Times Square in New York, a photo of him with the gently used 2001 Honda Civic. Soul Jakey has been creating a ton of content. Like, it has been really exciting to see people organically producing content and just having fun with it. And like, yeah, I mean, that's the part about the meme coin season that I love. Is there anything?
That's when crypto gets really fucking fun too. It's just like, fuck, like I'm not even a fucking whale of like the 2001 fucking gently used Honda or nothing like that. But man, I fucking love seeing the content and people that have actually been buying legit cars for this shit. Like it to me, it's just always that like human and psychological level that enters this market that's just so fun to witness and be a part of.
100%. Is there now, after trading meme coins, do you have any rules kind of with yourself that you follow when it comes to meme coins, and anything that you kind of look for to see, is this one that like I want to actually get into, one that I can sleep well at night knowing I'm holding, or like do you have
Can you sleep well at night holding any meme coin? That shit might either go up or down while you're sleeping. Like, you got to trade that shit fucking at like 3-4 in the morning or something.
I mean,
make sure you're getting profits.
Yeah, I would say take profits is always a good rule, but it's also the thing about like I've never been good at trading meme coins. Like I've always been awful at it. But the one thing that I've really learned, I guess, with this current meme coin season is really look to see what coins are going to produce the most general like meme content and organic meme content, right? And I think the way that I think about it, like one of the coins that I bought in like early part of December was Ultra, and it was like the whole meme around it was like a shark with tits, right?
Yeah.
And
you got me into that shit. That bullshit.
And it died basically, right? Like I don't know where it's currently at, but it's not anywhere near the all-time high or anything like that, right? But when
in hindsight, that meme was probably not going to live longer than a day or two.
And this is what I figured out with it, is that I thought about it afterwards, and I'm like, okay, is it good enough to produce content where people organically just want to post about it? And I was like, the issue with that is there's still so many people that are like, I'm not going to post a shark with tits. Like, yeah. I'm just not going to. So although I thought it was funny, and and there was definitely like a few day period in December where I was like, this is funny and I'm enjoying myself and whatever. It didn't have lasting power to me. And I think when you think about some of the meme coins that have been around for a long time, Bonk, Chonky's killing it. With, is that how you pronounce it? With?
Whiff, yeah, I think
Dog with hat.
Dog with hat.
Even that, we just laugh talking about it, right?
Yeah.
You know, what other coins have we seen pumping lately? We've, I mean, obviously, used car is
Okay.
Yeah.
What has been your, like, give me your 3 favorite memes that have come from the meme coins?
I mean, I would say, like, okay, first off, I'm gonna say I take Bonk now out of meme coin status.
Yeah,
Like Bonk is now to me.
They've been around long enough.
Yeah, and they're just.
I'm more so talking from this season or like these past, like, let's say, like, past 2 months.
Yeah, I would say, and again, I want to give credit to Bonk. Like, I think they've elevated, which I think is one of the coolest things of, like, we've seen that on ETH with, like, Mog and Pepe and some of these other coins where I think they've elevated to, like, they are just now, like, a staple of ETH. And I think with Bonk is now become a staple of Solana.
Yeah.
I think Chonky is, you know, one that, like, the memes are great. People are always responding with it. It produces a lot of great just natural content and things like that. I think the same thing with Dog with Hat. It's like one of the easiest things in terms of like people are just, they're posting a photo and they add the little hat to it and it's adorable and it just makes me laugh every time. And those are 2 that I don't have bags in. And I was kind of late to them. And you know,
can't say used car because we already know you fucking love that.
Well, no,
shit.
but the thing about used car that I
fucking interviewed a car. We get it.
We
fucking love this shit.
I think the reason why, and it's again, it's like the reason why I was excited about it when I first saw it, because I saw it early. I saw it at like probably like a 60,000 market cap, and the reason I was like, this is just it's so stupid that it's funny, right? And I was like, it's something where it's like it's a 2001 gently used Honda Civic, and like it's a, you know, and it's something where in crypto when we always talk about like the Lamborghinis or the Bugattis or whatever, and it's like, nope, I'd rather have the 2001 Honda Civic. That's to me where I was like, why I felt comfortable putting money into that. And then also go, and you talk about like, do you ever feel comfortable going to bed at night with, you know, bags and meme coins? It's like, I felt good about that because the meme coin was something where I could easily see why somebody would want to produce content around it and have fun with it. And I think that's kind of my golden rule now. And again, I think if you look at it, Bonk, Chonky, with like all these different coins, used car, it's like it's easy for people to create content around it and not feel dumb about posting that content, right? And then obviously again, it's like
it just feels fun.
Yeah, it feels fun. And again, I think that's, you know, what I like to see with the coins. And so yeah, I mean, it's been fun to watch different coins crushing it. Again, I think that's something that gives people something else to talk about in the space. And then obviously we've got one of the big ones coming up, Jupe. Again, that's not a shit coin. Jupe is far more than that. But it's a coin that people are speculating on that they're excited for. I'm excited to see how that rolls out. And so yeah, I feel like we're in a fun position. You know, Jupuary is going to be, there's going to be a lot of excitement around that. I know you and I are going to be excited to talk about how that goes. And you know, here's what I'm excited for with Jupe. I'm just excited to see what price it actually starts off at because man, every day you see the like, I'll see somebody. It's either one polar opposite or the other, where somebody will be like, if you think Jupe is opening at $1, you're crazy. It's definitely opening at 10 cents. And then you got the other person that's like, Jupe is trading at 80 cents. We're close to $1. And it's like, it's like people are either posting one or the other. And so I'm ready for it to just be out and see where we fall.
Yeah,
you know,
speculation on it is crazy.
Which means it's probably going to be at 50 cents. It'll be right dead in the middle. So
no, that's going to be fun. I mean, I think the whole shit has just been exciting, right? Like fucking. Like I really liked the Clippy memes, the fucking from Microsoft, whatever. Like those memes hitting the timeline, I just thought those were hilarious. Love the Anita Max win.
So that's what, like it's like a Drake reference.
Anita Max win, yeah. That's he's like, this is my alter ego, Anita Max win, and he had that fucking hat. It was that same skit where he was like, you got a problem? You gonna do something? Like that skit. Yeah. It was like from that. And then, I guess they made a token out of it.
Drake's in his content bag right now.
Yeah. Hey, you know, we love to see it.
You know, we got to get Drake into Solana and ETH. You know, he's a content king. Yeah. You know, we need it. We need
100%.
it. Do you have another one?
Shit. Besides those two, and obviously like the ones that we've seen, like the dog with hat and all that. I like the one that came out the other day. It was called Pelf, and it was...
I've never even heard of that one.
It was Pelfer on Solana. It was like the Wolf of Wall Street, and like the memes have been funny as fuck.
Okay.
Like,
I don't even know that one.
Yeah. It's been funny, but people cooked on that shit. My God. Yeah, people cooked. But yeah, going back to the whole, like, do I have like gauge on memes? I think it's the same thing. Like, is it memeable? And then I also just like, at this point, I'm also kind of like looking at other tokens and being like, all right, if that token ran like that, like this token might need to do something, right? Like, I think there was one where there was a token that was like based off of Drake's dog, Diamond. And then I seen last night that a token came out for Taylor Swift's cat. And I was like, well, if Drake's dog could do X, like Taylor Swift's cat's got to be able to do something. So I was like, let me throw a little bit in there and see what's up.
Now, those are ones that I'll trade out of immediately.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I'm like, anytime it's like a spoof of another coin, I'm like, all right, like we've already run through that narrative, right? Like,
but there's been a couple that like it's worked for, like right, a spoof of coins and like shit like that.
Yeah, but it's just like, to me,
it's quick. It's like a quick thing. It's not like 2001 gently used fucking Civic.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, and it's kind of the same thing with that. There were a few like spoof coins of like gently used other things, right? And it's like, to me, we get into, I would rather, obviously, when you get early into a coin, you have a higher chance, or you have a chance of getting that like 50x or whatever, right? But you also have a much higher chance it just immediately dies, right? Yeah. So I'm kind of at the point now where if I'm putting money into a shitcoin, I'm putting money into coins that have been around for at least, and this sounds crazy to say, a few weeks, right? Like,
no, you're wild. No. What do you mean? How are you trading shitcoins that a few weeks?
No, but that's what I'm saying. They've all been around for mostly only a few weeks. Like,
but you're not getting into none that are like, yo, it's only been around for like a day or 2 days or some shit like that.
It makes it at this point probably not, because again, I just think like all profits are eventually going to rotate into the ones that you can go to bed at night saying, hey, like I trust that this one's going to be doing well, right? So again, you've seen that with Chonky, Gecko, you know, some of these other coins. It's like where you can feel good at night knowing I go to bed, I'm going to wake up in the morning, the coin's going to be doing well, right? Maybe it has a small dip, maybe it goes up a little bit, but like I don't need to absolutely worry about like I wake up and my bag is at zero, right?
I think it's just different tiers.
Yeah, so you know, again, I think it's like with all of this, people need to be careful. Just be careful. Don't be afraid to take profits. And then, you know, don't always try to get a 50x. Like sometimes you should be good with like
a little small dubs.
Yeah, get a 4x. Again, like if you're always looking for that 50x, then you're also going to get rugged far often more than not, because you're going to have a new coin that comes out with some new meta, and then immediately there's a green candle. Everybody's super excited, and then the dev pulls out the liquidity pool, and then the next thing you know, the thing goes to zero, right? Yeah. So like you do need to be careful, and when in doubt, just trust the ones that have been around for a minute and be a little bit more careful. Like those, you know, the ones that have been around, at least if they've survived like 2 or 3 weeks, again, it's probably a coin that maybe has a little bit of lasting power. If it's the first 24 hours of a coin, you got to be a little careful. You got to
be monitoring the fuck out of that shit.
Yeah. So, you know, just be careful with it.
And by the way, all NFA,
don't buy 100%.
Any of these fucking meme coins. We're just letting y'all know these meme coins exist.
We're giving our thoughts.
Yeah, go do your own research.
I'm not telling anybody to buy anything.
Don't buy shit.
You do, whatever I think I know, I don't know shit.
Yeah, he doesn't know shit.
I don't know shit.
He doesn't know nothing.
Nothing. So, again, be careful with the meme coins. It's a fun thing, but, you know, and same thing with like Jupe. You know, if Jupe comes out and it's at a price where that, you know, that money that you get is substantial for you, take profit, you know, and you know what? If it runs up, it is what it is. After you take profit, if it runs up, sometimes that's going to happen. But again, if that money means something to you, take profits. Yeah,
profits is profits.
Yeah, facts.
That's all you need to know.
So okay, so here's what I want to get into from there. We got the Saga 2. What are your thoughts on that? Saga 1 cooked. Absolutely is cooked. It's like selling on eBay for like $3,500, which is insane.
I just feel like I started the Saga bull run when I ordered mine. Then like 10 hours later, it was sold out. You know, I'm just saying.
Wow, we're giving you credit.
I posted, I secured my Saga, and then 10 hours later, everybody was rushing to buy theirs. I don't know.
You know, I give credit to Soul Jakey, Ashen. I give credit to, honestly,
that's facts.
JB's tweet. JB had a tweet where he said something like, he had a tweet, and this is when I was like deathly ill, so I didn't get my Saga 1. I'm pissed as hell. I was so sick, and I was trying to be off my phone.
The fact that you didn't get a Saga 1 is nuts to me.
Well, because here's my thing. I'll give my true thoughts on it. from the beginning, the Solana phone made no sense to me, if I'm being honest. And the reason why I say that is because I don't want an Android phone. Like, I really don't. I have an iPhone. I use it every day. If I was an Android person, then I probably would have gotten on board with it. But I was like, I don't really see why I need this Solana phone. And at the beginning, the only real rationale for it was there were some people who were able to get the Klano drop, right, which is exciting. Like, obviously, I wish I would have gotten that. I love Klano, so I would have collected that for sure.
Yep.
And then there was the bonk airdrop, right, which at the time, price-wise, didn't make sense. Like, it wasn't as much, like, the airdrop wasn't worth enough to justify the phone,
it wasn't
right?
until it ran.
Right.
Yeah.
And also the phone when it first came out was at $1,000, right?
Yeah.
It eventually dropped down to what, like 600, something along those lines. Or I think there were some people who had some other discounts and things like that.
Yeah.
But to me, I couldn't justify buying the phone at the beginning because I was like, I just don't see where it's going. Now, obviously, this is where you get into like speculation versus what we publicly knew, right? Speculation is, sure, there are ways to reward people who hold a Solana phone, right? But at the time, nobody was doing that. It wasn't like they were getting over the summer a bunch of airdrops and things like that. That wasn't really the case, right? All of a sudden, it became in December, bonk runs up. Everybody starts doing the math and going, okay, well, hey, if bonk is at this price and the Solana phone costs this much, well, then I buy the phone. I'm basically at break even right there.
Might as well.
Right after that.
That was my thing. I saw Ashton's tweet about like the bonk airdrop, and I was like, two things. I was like, one, I'm getting the bonk airdrop and it evens out, right? Two, I feel like there's more shit coming to this. Like, there's more stuff coming to the saga if there's this bonk airdrop that's here. And I just went blind in thinking that like more stuff has to be coming.
Yeah.
And that's why I bought it.
And to be honest, I probably would have had that thought and bought the phone if I was in the right state of mind. I picked a really bad week to be sick. Like,
don't blame the sickness. You just faded.
No. I mean,
you just faded. You absolutely faded. You
Over
faded Jakey. You faded Ashen. You faded Amy. You faded. Who else was an ambassador for Saga?
I don't know, but
faded all the ambassadors for Saga.
I did, because again, I don't want an Android phone. I still, you know what? They come out with a Solana iPhone. I'll be all about.
Okay, so here's my thing that I've finally like that has clicked for me. Right?
Yeah.
I'm an iPhone user as well.
Yeah.
Mad Apple, Maxi, all this sort of shit. I'm not going to use an Android phone. I'm not using that phone as a phone. Right?
Yeah.
My thing is this: Saga to me is more of a the direction that Saga is going in to me is that it's going to be the best hardware wallet for Solana that is also a smartphone. It's not a smartphone that's a hardware wallet.
Yeah, outside of obviously just holding a cold storage wallet, but unless you just straight up, well, I mean,
but that's my thing is like that's your hard, like if you want that to, like, obviously that's probably not going to be your cold storage because you're connecting it to X, Y, and Z, but.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, like with the tech that they've gone in there as far as like protecting you and like all that sort of stuff, I feel like they're gearing up to be the best hardware wallet for Solana. And now you have this backing of like, because of the Soulbound token and etc., it also makes for the rewarding of those users that much easier, right? Because those are almost like your power users of Solana. To me, I feel like.
Yeah, my only counterpoint to that would be, because obviously like the meta that's taken place in the last like month or so is reward all Saga phone holders, right? And my only gripe with that is that I still consider the people who bought it when you didn't know any of these things were coming were the people that were truly the most loyal, right? Like that first, like the first 2,000 people that bought them are the people that are really, again, the people that you mentioned, the Soul Jakey, the Ash, and the Amy Street, all these different people were the OG supporters of the phone, right? Yeah. Those people saw the vision before everybody else saw bonk run up, right?
Yeah,
I'm not giving the other people who bought the phone in December credit for being like, I saw the vision. It's like, no, you saw the tweet that said, if I buy this phone, I break even because of the price of bonk, right?
But I think that's a separate vision that you're seeing.
But that's fine. My thing is this. What I want, especially as we get into this next year, our goal is for more and more people to come into Solana. So what I don't necessarily want it to be is that, oh, now we're just giving these airdrops to people who hold the Saga phone, because again, it alienates the new people who come in, and we want more people coming in, right? And we want them finding unique ways to get rewarded and things like that. And again, like, you know, we don't need Saga phones selling for $10,000 on eBay. Like that's crazy. So,
but it's good marketing.
But also somebody's going to take an L eventually, right? Like eventually there's no way to, because eventually not all of these airdrops are going to hit like they do at the beginning, right? The 50th airdrop is never going to hit as great as the third one does,
Sure.
right? So that's my thing of like, I want people to be cautious because, again, we get super excited by the speculation. And next thing you know, somebody's going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to max out 4 credit cards and buy these Saga phones on eBay, and I'm going to get rewarded $100,000.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the part that I get worried about.
It's definitely like be safe. But even with that, it just goes back into like, if you're paying $10,000 for a Saga phone, then you should have $10,000 disposable to be able to pay for a Saga phone. If you're paying for it based off of like, oh, I think it's going to give me $30,000 in like ROI, then that's a very much a decision that you're making and a bet that you're placing that it's going to get you that ROI. If you take the L, you take the L, right?
Yeah.
But I think it being a hardware wallet, I don't think necessarily you want to alienate people that don't have Sagas, etc. But if they are going in this direction that, like, for example, this Saga 2 that's like available for pre-order, right? I don't even know, like, they haven't really even said much about like what it is, etc. We're probably thinking that it's going to be a phone plus hardware wallet, etc. like that again. But if they are kind of moving in this direction of it is a hardware wallet for Solana, I think that helps also in terms of those people that are onboarded. It's like, oh, there's this device that exists. You can like store X, Y, and Z on it. This is why it's important, whatever. And airdrops that do come down the line, whatever that looks like, I do think that it's a very cool and unique way to, even if you are going to reward other people in the ecosystem, there is a unique way to reward people that are specifically under this community, right? Because you can look at it as like a NFT community, even if you wanted to, right? Where it's like, oh, there's 20,000 holders or whatever, right? And I think that's where there's like a lot of like power for them in terms of like what the Saga looks like and what future airdrops look like, rewards look like, all that sort of thing for people that are holding the devices.
Yeah. And again, I mean, you know, I'm always happy when other people get a bag. Like, again, like I don't think there's ever anything. We literally talked about that in the first podcast episode of like, why should we ever root against other people? Like, I want people who have a Saga to get their bag, even though I don't have one. Like,
Yeah.
I still want that. I get worried about the speculation leading to people spending absurd amounts of money on a phone, and then eventually everything kind of runs dry at some point, right? Like everything that there's all these different like airdrops and things like that. Eventually, like metas shift and things like that. People just have to be careful. You don't want to be the person who gets caught with the bag. So just make smart financial decisions and don't over leverage yourself and you know, and spend money you don't have. That's my overarching point. But you know, again, people who got one, incredible. You know, again, would I have bought one after the, you know, when people started talking about the bonk airdrop and things like that? Yeah, 100%. Mathematically, it was like dumb to not buy one, right?
Yeah.
Again, I picked a bad week to be sick. In terms of like, am I still bullish on like a Solana phone in general?
But that's the thing is like, that's where I'm like, if we're like, oh, it's the Solana phone, then yeah, maybe I'm not that bullish. But if I'm like, this is the Solana hardware wallet, and it just happens to also be a phone, more bullish on that than I am on the Solana phone.
Yeah, well, I'm bullish on security for sure. And again, I do think it's cool. I'm excited to see what if Solana 2. I truly have no idea what Solana 2 is. I saw it. They were like, you can, you know, here's the early bird price, and I was like, you know what? I screwed up the first one. I'm just buying this one. So I did exactly the opposite of what I'm saying to everybody else is, which I aped in blindly. Okay, so I'm excited to see how it plays out. I don't know what I got, but I am excited to see if it is, I'm assuming a phone, which it sounds like, you know, or not assuming it's a phone. It's a phone, but like I'm excited to see what the advancements of it are, like what, you know, what in the last year they've done in terms of, you know, new changes to it and everything like that. Excited to see how it plays out. And, you know, and now I'm just going to play the, what's the 2 phones song?
I got two phones.
One for the Solana, one for the Instagram.
Yeah. Bars.
Yeah, bars.
One for the Solana.
Man, you know, speaking of rapping, Richard from Tenzer put out a tweet the other day, something about like, I'll pay somebody 1 Solana if you rap these lyrics, and it was like, I think it was just ship it, run it over and over and over again. And I thought for a second, do I just pull up like a drill beat and record myself just saying ship it, run it over and over?
I swear to God, Mark, if you pull up a drill beat and start rapping, I'm going to laugh my ass off.
Listen,
no way.
Richard put out an offer publicly. He
Okay.
said, I'll give you 1 soul if you do this. You know, I don't know if 1 soul is enough for me to completely embarrass myself by rapping on a drill beat, but I'm not opposed. But it would be, I'm setting myself up to look like an absolute idiot. So
If you have a feature, would he up it to 2 soul?
would you be the feature?
Yeah, let's go. 1 soul each.
Can you rap?
I put out some music before.
But are you on my level?
Don't do this, Mark.
All right.
Don't do this.
All right, here's what we're going to do.
I won 1,000 dust
Yeah?
for a rap.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, you were one of the people.
DeGods Week.
Okay,
Bounty.
so my buddy Ali Joseph was the one who won the DeGod from that.
Yeah, he won it on the first DeGods Week, right?
Yeah.
I what was it? Mine was the second DeGods Week, and I had like uploaded it as a TikTok or some shit like that. So I don't know.
Fair.
But I got 1,000 dust. It was lit.
Fair. Okay, so here's what I want to go from here. I want to bring up your tweet because you had a tweet that got some engagement, to say the least, in the last few days.
Hey, yo.
And I want to bring up some of the sentiment that people had, especially, we got the president of DeGod sitting on the couch right now. We got to ask him about some of this stuff. So let's get into it. So you put out the tweet of, what do DeGod holders want? Open-ended, broad question. Opening yourself up. Beautiful engagement, Farm. Let's talk about that. 44,000 views on that. We got 21 retweets. We got 213 likes. We got 180 comments. You almost ratioed yourself on the comments to likes ratio. That's crazy.
Oh, man.
No, I love it. And the reason why I saw you tweet this, and this past week was crazy for me. I was recording 17 podcasts, so I was kind of out of the loop a little bit, but I saw your tweet, and I was like, you know what? That's one I'm going to bring up on the podcast with Sonny, because I like that question. I'm curious to see how the answers change over time, right? So if you put out that tweet once a month, I'd be very curious to see what the answers of that are. Honestly, I would also be curious for you to do that for other projects. Like, throw out one. What do Clanosaurus holders want to see? Like, and just see what the response is. What do Saga 2 phone holders want to see, right? Like, I'm just curious to see what the answers on that are. And I think sometimes we all often tell people, this is what I want, this is what I want. But this was this is the time of you saying, hey, what do you guys want, right? What does everybody want? And so 180 comments. And so I screenshotted a few that I thought were quality.
Someone said a refund, and I was laughing my ass off.
Man, depending on what price you bought at.
For real. I was just like, can't you just sell?
Yeah, let's talk about. So I brought up a few responses. Let's get into these. So so first off, shout out to Yax 293. Shout out to Yax.
Shout out to Yax.
But okay, so his was season 3.33 art, looks fire, can't take too long though. I'm gonna read the whole thing. We'll kind of give our thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Second, open the bridge. Let us choose where we reside. Third, lock staking with a reward. Fourth, reward longtime holders to promote the notion of holding. 5, more exposure to sports such as Killer 3s. And 6, incentivize sub-DAOs to create and compete. Maybe an annual, semi-annual sub-DAO cup. Prize could be SOL or ETH to the DAO. I think it's really interesting. I think there were some great points there. Completely agree on the season 3.33 art not taking forever, while at the same time also like wanting Sir Candy Apple to be in his bag, working on it. I know he's working on it. I know he's busting his ass doing that. We were in Miami with him. I think he was upstairs literally every day working on the art. So like, again, working his ass off on it. I do think he is very much in his bag right now. The art previews they've put out are sick as hell.
Yeah.
But did you have any thoughts on that? He had some other points, obviously, like the lock staking, bridge. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, the bridge has been speculated like heavy, super heavy the last few weeks. What are your thoughts on a bridge? And let's clarify one thing. This is not an official DeGod stance. I'm asking Sonny right now. I'm not asking DeGod's president. I'm asking Sonny right now. What are your thoughts on that? As an OG DeGod holder, all of that, what are your thoughts?
I mean, my thing is this, right? Like, I think DeGods as a whole has always been this experimental collection, right? And given that it's an experimental collection, you go back to the paper hands bitch tags, you go back to obviously the bridges that they have done up until this point, upgrading the art, but not like giving you new art, all these different types of things, right? And so a next phase of that experiment is like, we have projects now that, some live on a certain chain, others live on another chain. But I don't think there's ever been, obviously us moving from Sol to ETH was such a big news, right? And us moving also from Sol to Polygon for Utes was such a big news move as well, right? And now potentially playing around with the idea of coming back to the chain that we minted on in some sort of capacity. I think it's exciting. I think for one, like opening up this kind of omni chain and allowing people to pick what chain they would want to be on. I think it would be interesting as fuck just to see, right? Like from an arbitrage perspective of like, what pricing is on each chain, from what holders want as far as which chain they would rather pick. I think that type of just like experiment and what that could look like, I think it could be pretty fun. And I think that it's one of those outcomes that, I've heard the negative to it where it's just like, no, like it should be on one chain versus another chain, or don't come back to Solana and all this sort of stuff. But to me, I'm just like, what is the most fun, I guess, outcome you could say? And to me, I think the most fun outcome and most fun decision is that omni chain and like letting someone choose what blockchain that they would want to be on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting, and I've thought about it a lot. Do I want DeGods to stay on ETH? Do I want them to go to Solana? Do I want a bridge? Do I want them to go to fucking Base? Do I want them to go to used car chain? Okay, I don't know. I've thought about it all, and I think what's interesting is that, or I guess what I'd be more curious of is if there was a bridge that would allow people to go back and forth if they so choose. I'd be curious where the percentages end up. Like, does it end up with 80% of them on ETH and 20% on Solana? Does it end up 50-50? Does it end up 80% on Solana and 20% on ETH? Like, that's what I would be curious of, because I know the thing that I think Frank gets a lot of shit for was when the initial move over to ETH, at the time, the community drastically wanted that. And we did talk about that in the last podcast, so I don't want to like dive into another 20-minute conversation on that because we did talk about that in the first one. But the community did want that badly at that time, right? Now, some of those community members are still here. Some of those community members have left. Some of those community members have changed their mind, right? I think that's one of the things with this NFT space is that your mind should change at times. We have new information that comes in. The space changes, like, and so, again, what somebody wanted a year ago, I'm not going to hold them to that now, right? That's just me personally. I'm not going to hold myself to dude, I change my mind on a regular basis. Like, that's what we're supposed to do. We 100%. Take in new information, we learn from it. So, at the time, a lot of people wanted that. Now we're at the point where there are a lot of people who say, and again, sometimes it's the loudest voices can be the minority, right? So I would be genuinely curious as to what the percentages end up of if there was a bridge. What is the percentage? Is it 50-50 Solana and ETH? Is it 80-20? Like you said, I'd be curious if there are arbitrage opportunities and things like that. But yeah, that's more, I'm not really going to give like a hot take on it. I would just be curious to see where the percentages lie, because I think a lot of times people say like, everybody wants this, everybody wants that. Well, hey, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. So be very curious to see where do people truly want the project to be? We'd find out with something like that, right?
I think again, it's like about the percentages, and I think it's just a really, really fun experiment. That specifically would be the most fun for DeGods, I think, given the history and just given the attention that they have on their project, right? But I think outside of bridges and like what chain you live on, etc., like DeGods just has to be successful as DeGods. You know what I mean? And I think that is what we're striving to, regardless of what chain that we're on. And, to your point of like people were calling for us to go to ETH, and now people are calling for us to go to Sol. And like a lot of that is because of what sentiment that goes on, right? Like Solana's pumping right now. ETH doesn't have a lot of noise around it. So it's like, hey, let's go to Sol. At that time, it's like Sol's down. ETH is where the liquidity is at, all this sort of stuff. Like we have to go to ETH. And mind you, we have a lot of churning in the community at times. Those people might not still be around, whatever. But people are obviously looking at the shiny thing that's going on, and that sometimes can be a trap in just like where we're at. Because I see people that are mentioning like other projects and what other projects have gotten, along the way, right? As far as like to that point of like, what do DeGod holders want, and mentioning other projects. And it's like, okay, I hear you where you're coming from as far as like these other projects getting X, Y, and Z, but what does that like? That's a very temporary, like, an in the moment type of thing, right? Because all of that stuff fluctuates, right? In terms of like the opportunities that you're given as a community, what we can source as DeGods, whatever, and that just like every community is going to have different things that they're focused on and opportunities, right? And so I think a lot of it too is sometimes like we get caught up in this like comparison, or like this person's doing this, they're doing this chain has this going on over here, that we like it could be easy to lose the plot like that, you know what I'm saying, and kind of take a step back and be like, wait, there's actually a lot of bullish things still happening for ETH coming up in this next Q1, let's say, that could be actually really beneficial for DeGods, right? Or there's like all this other stuff, like, you know, shit like that, where it's just like there are certain things that like when you take a step back, you can look and see that, you know, there are a lot of things to be excited about, regardless of what chain you're on or within the project and so on.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people think like there's obviously a lot of chain maxis out here who are basically saying like, I think this other chain's gonna die.
Yeah.
And it's like the reality of it is we're gonna be sitting here a year from now. We're still gonna be talking about ETH. We're still gonna be talking about Solana. We're still gonna be talking about Bitcoin. Like we're still gonna again. People were tweeting out 2 months ago, ordinals are dead. Now ordinals are pumping. It's like again,
Listen,
the sentiment changes, and I think that's something that like, you know, people have to be cognizant of. The space changes, you know, again, you know, people were saying, oh, ETH isn't moving at all. And then ETH had like a 15% run up and Solana went down like 10%, right? So it's like, again, this stuff changes on a regular basis. I think, you know, so with all of it, there's no perfect answer. I think that's something that we have to keep in mind. I do want to go from there to the kind of the idea of, you know, lock staking. You know, my general thoughts on that is it's a hard thing to try to do, because I think there are projects that I've been a part of where it's like, okay, if you lock staking, you you know, receive this at the end of 3 months or 6 months, or, you know, however long you lock your NFT. The nerve-wracking part for me is that it's hard to provide enough benefit to a holder to truly say you should lock your NFT for 6 months, 9 months, you know, whatever, right? Yeah. And you also open up the point of FUD of if the floor price goes down at all during that time period, there are going to be people who are then bitching that they have their NFT locked, right? And so even though at that point they voluntarily decided to do that, right? But you do open up, you know, FUD if either the reward isn't good enough at the end of it, or if the price of the NFT goes down. Now, if the price goes up, you could also have the same effect. You could have somebody who's like, well, I'm not able to take profit here. I you know, I want to sell this so I can, you know, go do, like, I had this, you know, something came up. I need the money right now. Now I don't have the ability to do that. Now, could you do some sort of you know, kind of I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but like where there is lock staking, but then you're able to, you know, I guess like, get rid of the lock if you pay 1,000 dust or something. That's an idea, you know. I don't know.
I mean, to me, lock staking, I don't really like the idea of lock staking that much, because I think it goes into this whole thing, to your point of like, it's your NFT. You should be able to like sell it when you need to, liquidate it when you need to, like whatever, right? To me, I read that more as just two things. Like, holders want more rewards, or just like a path to rewards. And then two, there just has to be more of a reason for you to hold and want to hold this long term, right? I don't think we need to like force you to lock it up versus just incentivizing you to want to hold this DeGod on a much longer term basis because of the things that you're getting from either the network, the community, the access you have, rewards, etc., and that being the reason why you're holding on to your DeGod versus not having one or having it in bids or whatever, right? That to me is more so like, when I hear something like lock staking, is more like incentivizing just more people to hold for a longer time, and what does that look like, and then also the reward part of it.
Yeah, 100%. So okay, I want to go next to Specs BK. Specs put out, he said, give Patty the DeGod Twitter account. Vibes were back for that one day. You know, boy, I got some thoughts on that because when Patty was running the DeGods Twitter account, I caught a stray. I caught a stray at one point. He puts out what did he say? He had a tweet, something along the lines of like,
your shiny ass head,
my shiny ass forehead. I'm
oily.
oily, okay? Bro, I put out a tweet when the Lions were playing, which, by the way, playoff victors. The Lions are playoff victors. Baby. We're going to the Super Bowl. People don't want to talk about that. People don't want to talk about that. Ever since I started wearing the Lions chain, we have not lost in the playoffs. People don't want to talk about that. People don't give me credit for that.
All of a sudden.
They don't give me credit. I didn't wear the chain before that. 31 years since our last playoff victory. I put on the chain, we win. Okay, it's neither here nor there. We don't need to talk about that. But people should talk about that. But Patty calls me out, says I've been shining up the old forehead. Here's the thing. I sweat, and I get an oily forehead again, especially, two situations. One, when it's hot like this. These lights are hot. People don't understand this. These lights are hot. I put the temperature.
He's lying, yo. He's lying.
I'm an oily boy, okay? I'm an oily boy. I don't know what you want from me. The second thing is when I get nervous, which I'm not nervous during podcasts. I just get the Lions game had me nervous.
Am I making you nervous right now?
Oh, so nervous?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I gotta set myself up for some of this shit sometimes. Like, why did I just do that voice?
Pause.
Why did I just do that? I don't. God, sometimes I hate myself. But yeah, I'm oily. I don't know what to tell you. But
Pause again.
The reality of it is Patty running the DeGods Twitter was funny, and there was a lot of great tweets. There was also a few tweets that people took very literal that were not literal tweets that they took as like Frank tweeting this out. So it was fun. And again, I think, what you mentioned earlier about like, we're here to have fun. And, I do think it's something where, do I think Patty would have interest in running the DeGod account on a regular basis? No. But do I think it'd be fun to do like, every Sunday is like Patty Sunday on DeGod's, Twitter, where he just says wild shit for a day. Like, yeah, I do think that would be fun. If he doesn't have the ability to do it every Sunday, then maybe we do it, once a month or whatever. But like, yeah, I think it was fun. I think the community enjoyed it. I think the rest of the NFT space in general, Solana, ETH, like everybody, I think they all had fun with it. I think once people kind of realized what was happening, people had fun with it. And so, yeah, I would love to see that. What were your thoughts?
I loved it. I mean, as soon as Patty put out the tweet of like the idea that he would run the Twitter account, I DM'd him right away and I was like, let's make it happen. Like, and I think,
okay, Prez, we see you. That's a Prez in action right there.
To me, I'm just like, what are the easy wins? What are the things that we can do that we can kind of full send, low hanging fruit, things that are just like easy that we can do that actually does have impact. And I think Patty taking over the account, it did have impact, right? It brought back vibes. People were enjoying the energy. And I think overarching, people have just seen from the account, which has been like another thing on like the what do DeGod holders want, is this aspect of like being supported and that sort of thing. Like if you go look at the account, there's been way more focus on just like retweeting people that are putting out content, putting a focus on our community, and just getting the account a little bit more active again. To me, those are all just things where it's like it's things that we can do that are just like low hanging fruit, but are super important and help us kind of build the blocks of like this comeback that we're essentially trying to make.
100%. I think, the idea of like little small things that lead to bringing that fun back. And again, that's why we're all here, is like people enjoy being here. It's fun. We've all made a lot of friends here. We've had a lot of fun together. And this is this kind of space where like, sometimes when I am talking to people, Web 2 normies, whatever, and I try describing some of the fun that we have here, it's hard to describe. So like it's something where you have to experience it to feel it. And so again, these little things of like Patty running the Twitter account can bring that fun back. And again, and like that's what we want to do. And I think a lot of times we tie our happiness to floor price, right? And it's like, some things are bigger than floor price. And having fun to me is one of those things. And where they can kind of work together, right? Of like, if we are all having fun and the community is having fun, then again, floor price does tend to go up as a result of that. So it's like, what are the little things that we can do to bring that fun back? Even I was going to bring this idea up to you. I'll say it on the podcast now, but like, for Sunday's football game, let's schedule an event in LA for people to come out and watch the Lions play.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do some wild shit. I'm gonna be going crazy, and like little things like that lead to who knows what my reaction is going to be. But like, let's have
Going
some
viral again.
Probably gonna do some wild shit. People kept telling me to take off my shirt after the Lions game, this last victory. They didn't understand. I'm at a LA bar. I'm surrounded by Rams fans, which I didn't know really existed, but they do apparently.
You should have taken off your shirt though.
They were mad, man. They were mad. But again, it's like, let's do these things. Let's have some fun with it. And so, let's schedule out an event. Let's do that tonight. But again, it's like, what are the little things that we can do to bring that fun, to just enjoy ourselves and all of that? And so, that's what I want to see. I don't want this podcast to go super long, and we're doing that. We're doing that thing again where we make this like an hour plus, and then it takes me longer to edit. So let's get into, were there any other overall sentiments that you thought from that tweet that you just kind of gathered, things that you were like, okay, hey, we should probably work on these things again? Knowing that, like, yes, we can recognize a problem and the solution may take a little bit longer than we would like to implement. But were there some overall like thoughts that you had on that tweet and reading everybody's replies and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just overall thoughts are just like, we have such a range of things that people want and what people think that they want. And, Frank said this a bunch, and like also, popular quote, whatever, but it's like a lot of that is really just like taking what they're saying, but then trying to really like deduce like what it is that they're communicating, right? Like, so for example, that example about lock staking is just, to me, that's more of just like, figure out a way to incentivize people to hold DeGods for a long time, right? It's not so much about like do lock staking, but it's more about this like overarching point that you're trying to hit. And I think a lot of the tweets in there had those types of points, right? Because you also have a lot of the people that were just like straight up like, oh, number go up, FP go up. And it's like, I get it from that angle too. Like, there are people that bought it at a much higher floor price, and they'd like want to see it go back to that, levels. And so I think for a lot of it is just like deducing what it is that they're actually saying. And a lot of the things that I was getting was, obviously things of like, better communication, just kind of making the information that we are sharing just even that much more accessible to people, and like letting them know that like this is where you can find certain things, like even the things between the town hall and the spaces. A lot of what I found is that like a lot of things that people were mentioning, it's like we've kind of put out a lot of stuff or like have addressed this in some sort of way before, but that person wasn't in the call here, wasn't in the spaces, or didn't go back to look at the content, or maybe watched our podcast or whatever. And so I think a lot of right now too is kind of like conditioning them to essentially like, here are the places where you can go find the information and the answers to your questions, right? I think that's kind of part of it, is them knowing that like this information is actually exists, and like some of your questions have already been answered before. Go look at it like over here in these places, right?
I think it'd be it might be an interesting idea at some point to have almost like a message board where like when a topic does get brought up, like obviously we have the when board, but like having a like almost like a message board where if a question is asked, there's the ability for somebody else to say, hey, we actually did get an answer on this, and it was said at this point. Because like the hard part is, and it's a problem with Web3 in general, is that there's so much information that it's hard to digest all of it, right?
Yeah.
And we only have so much time in one day. So it's hard for me to be like, hey, you should listen to our podcast every single week. Like, obviously I want people to do that, but I'm also well aware that like people don't have the time always to do that.
But also you should listen to our podcast every week if you want information on DeGods, Web3, Solana, and ETH,
but we also understand that we have to put out clips. Like, we understand we have to put out clips, because otherwise, like, not everybody has the time to watch an entire episode. And so, again, it's like finding ways that we can disseminate that information in a better way, in a more efficient way. And again, that's a Web3 problem in general, is that there's a lot of times that somebody's like, we've brought up things before we started this podcast of like, oh, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? And like certain things I had heard of, certain things you had heard of, certain things, each other hadn't heard of. And it's like, again, there's a lot of information. It's happening on a regular basis. So how do we find a better way to disseminate that information? You know, OG put out a cool video last week that was, you know, that you were a part of.
Yeah.
And like that was super cool. Love that video. And it's like, you know, putting out cool content like that is a great way to, you know, give information about the overall space. And then cool, how do we do that with, you know, individual projects and things like that? Especially when, you know, but doing it in a way where like it's interesting, right? Because part of it is like, there isn't like major updates every single week, right?
Yeah.
And like, and we do have to be cognizant of that. Of like, if you do want people to build something cool, it does take time. It takes trial and error, everything like that. But again, I think disseminating information is an important thing because yes, certain things do get talked about in certain forums. But if somebody's not there to hear it, we also can't expect them to be able to listen to every different channel when there are, especially in Web3, 70 trillion different places where you can get information, right? So it's tough.
On top of the people that like spread information that isn't the full information and half information, you got to decipher what's actually right versus wrong, and
100%.
Completely get that.
So, okay.
But yeah, I mean, just going back to the tweet, like I think those are a lot of the things that I was taking in. I think there's a lot of stuff that like the team is already kind of working on and has thought of, and I think there was also a lot of kind of like new ideas. And then I think from just a general like consensus piece is like a lot of us just have to get back into a little bit more of a kind of positive mind frame internally, I think. And this is not to like gaslight the community in any sort of way and be like, oh, your grievances aren't heard, or like you can't have constructive criticism and that sort of thing. But I think there's a certain aspect of just like how you represent and how you provide to the sentiment, especially when we are in a very much of a comeback mode than a mode of us being like at the top in any sort of way, is like it's needed more than ever of just like positive sentiment, positive like reinforcements, knowing what's going on, like obviously within the ecosystem, within DeGods, etc. And being kind of like a voice and a part of that comeback instead of being like instead of being like adding on more to the problem, like be more part of the solution, right? And be more part of just helping the overall community come back. Because I think leading into kind of this like topic that's been in my head of just kind of how like the community and the brand is seen externally versus internally. It's so funny because every time I have like conversations with people about DeGods that aren't in the community, but, you know, have followed us along or, you know, have been in Web3 for so long, there's always positive like experiences or just like, yeah, DeGods is a really cool brand or this or that. And always more of like this kind of positive light to it. And I feel like where we're really more so hurting is like internally, obviously we have people that are like jaded, feel some type of way, or, you know, potentially maybe down on their investment or whatever the case is.
Not on their investment.
Or not on their investment, but down on their
purchase.
Purchase, etc. Right? Whatever that looks like, there is a certain aspect of like, but you're still here, right? You're here, you're a part of the community, and there's like really like two options that you can have where it's like, yes, we want to hear your constructive criticism, but it's either you're going to be very passive and kind of just hold and hope this goes up at a certain number of time, or you're kind of going to take a more active role in being a part of that comeback. And whether that's being a community ambassador, creating some content, just being a good representative on the timeline, welcoming people, being in the Discord, whatever that looks like for you specifically, I think that's just, you know, what we hope to inspire out of the community just moving forward and moving into this year. And that's how we're really going to come back, right? Like you could fudge your bags all you want, but there is so much power in how you're representing that community and that sentiment that eventually will help us and even get the team on a better, you know, pace to ship things and just like, you know, get us back into that like well-oiled machine type of vibe.
And that's where I think that your tweet did a good job of creating healthy dialogue around it. I didn't read any of it as like negative FUD. Like I read all of it as like constructive, good answers, again, and that's like what we were talking about even before we started the podcast. There were quality answers. There was 180 of them, and there was a lot of quality answers. And so, again, like that's what we want to see. The biggest thing that I took away from it is that we got a lot of passionate motherfuckers in this community, and that's the thing that I love, and I love that people care. And so, again, you represent every project that you hold. That's something that everybody always has to keep in mind. But, a powerful community that really does care is one of the hardest things to cultivate. And we have that. We have a lot of people who very much care about this project. They want to see it succeed. And so, again, that's a really incredible thing. But, yeah, I mean, again, there's the biggest thing is a lot of people care, and like that's something that is something that I'm really proud of, is that we have a community full of people who really do care. You and I both have great conversations with community members all the time, and again, I think a tweet like that really does do a good job of saying, hey, we want to hear your thoughts. Let's hear what your answers are. I think it causes good conversation. I think that's always an important thing too. And those are things that when we run community spaces and stuff, we should talk about some of these points more. And because again, we could talk about all these answers for 2 hours. We could make this we could do it for 5 hours. Like this could be a 5-hour long video, but I'm not editing that. So, so the reality of it is we got a community full of people who give a shit, and that's a powerful thing. And I know we got to wrap up this podcast because again, we want to put these out quickly, and it takes the longer the videos, the harder it is to get it out quickly. So, here's what I want to wrap up with. Again, I think we got a lot of passionate people in this community. I think you're doing a great job as co-president of cultivating that and having some of this great dialogue going. And again, people, with this podcast, like we want this to become something that like whatever you guys want. So again, when Sonny's putting out the tweet, what do DeGods holders want? What do D Weekly watchers want? So we got it. So let us know. We're open to ideas. We're open to a ton of shit. Like I said, like Sonny mentioned earlier, we got some cool things coming with Play Shrapnel. But we got to wrap this up because this one's getting long. But like, again, we want this show to become something that you guys want to watch. So if you guys have things, if you have segment ideas, if you have topics you want us to talk about, send them over, and we're gonna be putting these out every week. Sonny, anything you want to add onto that?
Facts. I just want to say we got some fun things coming up as far as just like little partnerships with some cool brands in the space. So definitely look forward to that. And what else? Yeah, we're just continuing to build this momentum. Let's keep the momentum actually going. Let's not stall. And we know that shit's gonna be coming out, so it's gonna be a good time.
Let's have some fun. Let's have
some fucking fun.
There we go. Well, hey, appreciate everybody tuning in.
The Marc and Sonny show.
It's always sunny in Markville.
What?
I don't know. We're figuring this stuff out.
In
Markville. Anywho, go Lions, best team in the NFL. We don't need to talk about it, but we're talking about it, but we're not talking about it.
Niner gang.
Please. Play Shrapnel. Shout out to them. And, we'll see you guys again this upcoming week. See you guys.